Hi Pragya, very warm welcome to BW Marketing World.
Yeah, thanks, Soumya. Thanks for reaching out and thanks for taking out this time for me.
It's always wonderful to speak with the other wonderful women. Let us straight dive into the conversation for today. You have been in the business for good 2 decades. Help me understand the present day contours of the consumer electrical industry. What are the challenges it is facing, and how are you at Crompton really addressing them?
Uh, so, consumer electricals industry is basically based on one very strong pillar, because I worked in different industry. This happens to be new for me when I joined it. And my key learning has been while we can see it as a challenge or an opportunity, it's about technology, right? Innovation in consumer electricals happens at a very fast pace. So either we take it as a boon or we take it as a challenge. But if I take it as a positive, it really opens up a lot of opportunities for brands like us and so many other brands which are leading in this space to explore new and new, right? Especially with the change in the consumer lifestyles, and now there's a rise of affluent class also. So there is a lot of premiumization which are happening, and therefore people are looking at advanced appliances. I mean, when you talk about advanced appliances, there is innovation which is happening at a very fast pace. Now, while everyone is running towards innovation, it's very important that innovation stands extremely relevant to the consumer, right? You should not just do innovation because you want to create something new. You should do innovation because it matters to the consumer and it is in line with your own internal competencies and capabilities.
So,
Right. So innovation is something which I would say is moving at a very, very fast pace in our industry. And all of us in our industry is looking at leapfrogging that area and creating something really unique for the consumer, which stands, of course, differentiated, meaningful, and relevant. So that we're not only ready for today, but also for tomorrow. Likewise, in Crompton, we have invested quite a bit in terms of innovation. We have set up a very large R&D center in the heart of the city, Mumbai, wherein we've got all engineers and all state-of-art technology being present there across all our categories. So innovation, and we've got a whole lot of activities or processes around it to ensure that when we do innovation, we do a regular test to say that what does it mean to the consumer, and is it really cracking the core insight, which we believe stands relevant. Right.
sure, sure. So, consumer, as I understand, is central to your answer today. Help me
Yeah.
understand the insights that you've gathered on the Indian consumer so far. What is their preference palette, and some of the typical traits that they exhibit? Have you been able to gather any observations or insights?
So I would say, so let me just pick up couple of things, right? So we operate in the fans category, we operate in lights, and even now in appliances, which is air coolers and water heater and all. While the core remains intact, right? A fan is supposed to provide you a good cooling comfort, right? That remains at the core. But over the time, what has happened that the needs have started getting evolved, right? From the time the fans used to just provide a cooling comfort, today people are looking at smart fans. They're looking at great fans, right? Because you are decorating your entire house.
Sure.
And that's one space which you need to decorate. It's almost like a chandelier. Of course, it need not be typically like a chandelier because the concept of designing is different with different type of consumers, and India is a diverse country, so every consumer cohort has a very different need when it comes to design. So there's a growing urge for smart appliances. There's a growing urge for great looking appliances, and enough and more research says that if an appliance is smart, it has to be great looking as well. So I can't say that, this fan of mine serves fantastic, it's great on IoT, serves your fantastic smart needs. You can operate it from the mobile. It's very voice-based, command-based system here. But then if the fan does not look great, they would not believe that the product is as smart as that. So for us, smart means technology savvy. Smart means advanced in technology. Smart also means great looking. right? And that's where I think the consumers are also heading, because consumers see a reflection of themselves in the space they live in, whether it is the living room, whether it is the kitchens, or whether it's even the appliance. And therefore, they see that their stature has to be reflected not only in the cars and their houses, but also in the appliances which they use. So I think that's where the consumer need is fast changing, and brands are just running behind doing fantastic innovation behind smart and great looking appliances.
Pragya, Crompton, as we all know, is in the business for 8 decades. How do you see the brand interweaving its legacy with technology, innovation, customer satisfaction, brand value, all of these in one cohesive fabric?
Hmm. So uh, the brand has evolved over the years in terms of technology, innovation, and innovation, as I say, is the basic hygiene, is the basic table stakes, right? So let's say from the point where and we've got so okay, so from the point where the products were given and offered to the consumer, to the point that today we follow a very, very deep process behind inciting, and we're spending a lot around consumer insights. If today you ask anyone in any of our teams here that how does the fan purchase happens, how does the evaluation happens, they would have a ready answer for that, right? So there's a lot which goes now, which Crompton does, and it has done over the period of time, but now it is also far more advanced in terms of its inciting process, in terms of its research process. So let's say if anyone in the team, in the product team or otherwise, comes back and says this is the core insight which he or she has, the entire concept goes into a validation phase. And once the validation is done, a prototype testing is done, and therefore the product is launched. We have not only done this as people see Crompton as a fans brand. The fact that uh, we have also achieved a near leadership position in some of the other categories like air coolers, water heater, also talks about a technology prowess. Over the years, we have invested not only in fans, but also in appliances like water heater and air coolers. And now we're getting also aggressive into kitchens, right? And we've seen success there. The consumers have validated the fact that if there is enough and more trust in the brand, and the brand forays into allied categories with the right innovation, they have the right to command the right market share. So I think we've done that, and that's how the brand has evolved over the last 80, 85 years. More and more of consumer centricity, right innovation, extension into allied categories, again with meaningful innovation and the right consumer conversation.
Okay.
Right, so which is well understood by the consumer. So I think we've done that over the years. Not only have we done that, we've also understood where is the consumer currently present.
So I'm well aware of the innovation and the product development efforts that you make at Crompton, but I would also request you to dive into the conversation part of it. What are the key elements of Crompton's marketing strategy? What is the narrative that the brand is really wanting to put out?
Yeah. So let me start with fans, and that remains as the first point where we talk about. So fans, if you see over the years, we have talked about great cooling back in, I think, pre-2019, to the point where we were one of the first people to talk about anti-dust technology, to the point that we started talking about a silent range of fans. And these are core to the consumer needs, okay? To the point that we started talking about energy efficiency without compromise on air delivery. To this day, when today we're running ads which are talking about great aesthetics, right? So the conversation and the way this conversation has moved is there's a method behind it. So we do a lot of equity studies in which we understand what are the core performance parameters where the brand needs to perform, both in terms of basic hygiene and in terms of differentiator. And we've done that for all our categories. We've done it for fans, we've done it for lights, we've done it for air coolers, we've done it for mixers, we've done it for water heater. What is that core conversation which we need to drive, which is again very, very meaningful to the consumer. And therefore, all our innovation and our communication will be resting on that. So if you look at our latest ad, it talks about picture perfect pants, right? And different consumer cohorts are taking. So we start the film with the fact that there are two women, visibly very successful and belongs to the affluent class of the society, tries to take their own selfie, but the fan steals the selfie, and proudly so, and they're very happy doing so because the fan looks as great as them. Then cut to different consumer cohorts, a teenage who's again a teenage group who are into sports are again trying to take their selfie, and then they click the fan along with them. Cut to another consumer cohort who's a little bit of a techie, wearing VR glasses and taking his selfie, and then again steals the fan in the selfie again. So it talks about the fact that today we've got fans where people are really proud of not only taking their own picture, but also the picture of the fan, right? Very rarely would people do that, but today our fans are like photogenic fans. They're picture perfect fans, right? You would want to. So the conversation has moved to aesthetics, because we feel and we have enough and more data to say that other than air comfort, energy efficiency, silence, aesthetics is one thing which people are looking forward to in fans. Similarly, in air coolers, the research says that people are looking at jaldi cooling, quick cooling, right? And hence our conversation is bases the fact that there's jaldi cooling. The cooling happens very quickly with our air coolers. Similarly, for mixers, when we got the advertisement out, we talked about perfect grinding because and it's very interesting, the concept, the strategic direction being the secret of fine taste, and the secret of fine taste lies in great grinding of your masala or your recipes. Now, this grinding could vary between north and south because in south, the kind of food which is made requires very, very, very finely ground spices, right? And therefore, your mixer needs to give you exactly those kind of spices. Similarly, when you come to north, the requirement is a little different. So we said it's a perfect grinding solution. You want coarse spice, you want very finely ground spice. You've got those spices provided you by a mixer. So, that's the secret of fine taste. So we talk about that. So likewise, in water heater, we're talking about the perfect water heater, right? Because we know that each consumer has different need of heating for the water heater, and our water heater just fits into the family need, which provides you perfect water heater all across. So all these conversations are led by the fact that we studied the equity under each of the category, and therefore what is the conversation with Crompton needs to have with each consumer cohort given our products and given the inherent need of the category. So that's how the conversation moves. That's in terms of the creative thought process. That's in terms of the key message. In terms of deployment, what we do, Soumya, is we follow a full funnel approach, right? Going back to the basics of our marketing books, which talks about that, the consumer moves from an awareness stage to a consideration stage to a preference stage and then to conversions, right? For a brand like Crompton, which has been in existence for years. Everyone knows about Crompton. It's become almost a generic brand in a lot of categories. Uh, Awareness is there, right? However, we are actually into categories which are more than 90% penetration, fans, lights, and all. And hence, going mass becomes imperative in certain part of the year. So we have to do that while we are high on awareness so that we also remain top of mind.
Sure.
However, as we go down the funnel, it becomes more and more important for us to form consideration and preference with the consumer. So we participate through the right digital channels because digital provides you the facility of curating your audience set,
Sure.
selecting the right cohorts, and having the right conversation. So if we try and identify who are the high intent consumers in the market, we do a lot of interest-based targeting through Google platforms and other programmatic platforms. And then we drive the right conversations with them. As we come down the funnel, we operate heavily on marketplaces where we've got leadership position in some of the categories and we've seen enough growth. We apply the right performance marketing metrics to deploy our media spends because with time, we've also realized that when you talk about marketplace, it's not only buying online. When you visit a shop, about at least two-thirds of the consumers go and check the prices on Amazon and Flipkart and the ratings and reviews before they buy a product in the store. So it's not only selling through those platforms, but also driving the right saliency through those platforms, which also gives us benefit in the offline channel. we try to optimize that as well. So our media deployment strategy follows a cross-funnel approach, wherein we integrate all mass media, digital, e-commerce, all the efforts together to get the right, message across.
Understood. Can you help me with your marketing budget split between traditional and digital? And what are some of the initiatives or investments that you've made very recently? Just
So our digital spends,
that's okay.
yeah, that's okay. Our digital spend, like any other brand, has multiplied by more than 3x in the last 2 to 3 years, right? So in fact, more than that. And it's nearly almost a half and half between a digital and traditional. I won't be surprised if by next year you hear more of digital and less of traditional from me. But that's how it has been. And rightly so. As I said, that the problem on hand is not awareness. The problem on hand is consideration and also preference. So that's how we've deployed our budget across digital and traditional. Yeah.
Okay, and Pragya, just an extension to my previous two questions. What are some of the measures that you take?
Sorry, you asked that what are the other salient features of my media plans? Sorry, I
Some
forgot
initiatives
that.
or investments that you've made very
Yeah,
recently.
yeah. So we are cognizant of the fact that this is a peak time for us, summers, when summers get started, and because we're into fans and air coolers, we optimize our media effort around this time of the year, wherein we go on television, of course. We are also going heavy on connected TVs because connected TVs, as you know, has grown almost by 3 times in the last 2 years. So we are looking, and also because we're talking about premium products, great aesthetics, we're using that channel platform very heavily.
Sure.
We are also investing heavily into IPL, right? The most loved property of this country. And in fact, that's also shown some positive indications on the brand, the recalls. So we are investing heavily into IPL. Plus, for categories like air coolers and all, we also do a lot of print and very high print affinity geographies. We've also started focusing a lot on outdoors because post-COVID outdoors have picked up. And now, if you see, there are different forms of outdoors, and you'll see some exciting outdoors from Crompton in the next 1 or 2 months when you go outside. So we're trying to drive a lot of saliency and consideration also from outdoor network. So that's how key facets of deployment or media has been.
Wonderful, wonderful. And just as an extension of my past two questions, what measures do you really take to ensure a consistent brand messaging and consumer experience across your various touch points and marketing channels?
You talking about the measures?
Basically, how do you maintain a consistent brand messaging across your touch points, all your touch points?
Yeah. So see, once we are very clear on the strategic direction. For example, in fans, if you talk about great aesthetics, right? My television campaign is going to talk about that. Then I will have adapts into a digital version, depending on which format is it, whether it is static or whether it is very conversation led, engagement led, or social media, will have different adapted versions beyond the core film, right? Which touches upon the lives of the consumers in different ways. I will talk about uh, picture perfect fan, and without revealing few things, we'll have a couple of things also coming in. So we figure out different ways of engaging the consumer, especially on also on social media. Our social media scores, engagement scores are decently high in the industry because of the active or the original content which we post around our key message. So that remained consistent. When we go also see, we are also cognizant of the fact that a lot of people are also buying offline. So when we go also in store, our products which are displayed are also speaking the same language. If you're talking about aesthetics, you'll find great looking products
Sure.
into displays. So we ensure that whether we go on television or on print or on digital, one we curate our consumer set accordingly, which where we can drive this conversation, and this conversation is adapted through different formats, uh, whichever works, whether it is product based, whether it is thematic, we adopt it through different formats across different platforms. Yeah.
Okay, so in the interest of time, I'll have to come down to my last question. How do you build and maintain healthy relationships with your retail partners and distributors to ensure effective product placement and promotion?
See, a brand which has been in existence for more than 8 decades, inevitably, uh, channel engagement remains at the core.
Okay.
right? And we operate through three key channels. One is the traditional retail channel, the second is the modern retail channel, and the third is the e-commerce channel, right? Other than the B2B part. Now, over the years, of course, we've not only is our sales team trained to have the right kind of conversation, this brand Crompton also has been built largely by this channel, right? The trust the channel has shown over the years. And hence the team is trained to build that relationship, not only in terms of driving meaningful product conversation or placements, but also providing complete transparency in the way the brand operates, right? So having a very, very transparent conversation with the channel partners and giving them the right service, not only in terms of product placement, but tomorrow, let's say, even if there is some consumer issue or some, any kind of commercial issues, there is always a free line which the channel has with the brand, and the teams are trained likewise. Whether if somebody has to cater to, let's say, an e-commerce channel, the conversations or the trainings which are given to the team are very different from what is given to the retail trade team. And in fact, in the last couple of years, we have really evolved or hired people with the right capability that or to carry forward that baton. Other than that, we have frequent retailer meets and channel partner meets where not only the frontline or this regular sales team meets the channels, but also some senior management team members, other than the regular field visits, do meet them, engage with them, and understand what is concerning them and try and address that as much as we can. Yeah.
Sure. This will be all for today, Pragya. Thank you so much for taking out time on a weekday. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.